What is up, y'all? If you have been paying attention, you know hospitality design is going through a major glow up right now. So whether it's hotels, Airbnbs, or private members only lounges, one thing is painstakingly obvious. Guest expectations have changed and people are paying attention. It is all about creating an experience today, and that is what we are going to talk about. So let's get into these top 10 hospitality designs that are about to be everywhere. Okay, let's start with a big one. Personalized stays. Hotels and rentals are getting a lot smarter. They are using technology such as AI to help predict and preemptively deliver an optimal experience for their guests. So whether that is voice activated technology, leveraging AI to control the temperature in rooms, they're doing all that they can to get ahead of the client's needs. So an example of this is the Wynn Hotel in Vegas. They've been doing this for quite a few years, but their competitors are catching on. They are delivering technology where you can open the curtains with voice, that you can actually, set the HVAC temperature once and then it kind of knows and anticipates your needs. It's happening and we need to pay attention. Okay, next up is nature first design. What do I mean by that? Well, you're going to see this a lot in urban settings. Guests really want to feel connected to the outdoors, but sometimes space is limited, right? So that means how can I mimic and replicate that feeling of nature in the interiors? So what we're seeing is lots of natural woods, lots of integration of plants, whether that's inside the building, on balconies, on rooftops, that kind of thing, because it really does speak to some of those subconscious benefits of our proximity to nature. So you tend to see this a lot in warmer climates, obviously. I stayed at an Airbnb in Mexico City recently, and it was all over the place. But other places, such as the One Hotel in Brooklyn, do a really good job of this too. And it's something for us small players to pay attention to. So I've been calling this one the apart hotel movement for the past few years, but I came across a term called the hometel movement, and I think I like that better, so I'm going to go with that. The line between hotels and short-term rentals is officially blurry. We are seeing hotels designed to feel more home-like, right? With furniture choices, sort of vignettes that speak to home. And then you're seeing Airbnbs step up their hotel game with the integration of concierge service, on-demand services, pay to use kind of services, pay to, purchase while you're in the unit, that kind of thing. They both realize, both hotels and short-term stays, that they are now competing with each other more and more. And essentially, we are getting the best of both worlds. Now, while I am here for this trend, generally speaking, I do think that there is a nuance to how Airbnb investors should be delivering hotel-like amenities to ensure they're not losing that sort of je ne sais quoi, which is why people choose Airbnbs in the first place. So here's one that I have been screaming about for years, and it has pretty much been at the cornerstone of my interior design services to my clients, right? And it is about the integration of culture. Travelers want to see spaces that tell a story, and they want to feel connected to their surroundings. So what we're seeing is more hotels and more rentals featuring local craftsmanship, handmade textiles, experiences and vignettes that speak to specific cultures or segments or communities. And I love it. I think that is, what makes design a powerful tool, that it actually helps investors, boutique hotels create a deeper connection with their audience. So I'm all here for that. I'm here for all of that. I'm here for all of that. So So one really cool example is the Urban Cowboy Hotel in Nashville. They lean very heavily into cowboy culture to shape the experience in their stays, but are leveraging high design to do that in a very tasteful way. Next up is softer shapes and curves. And I know this trend as far as furniture curves has been around for a while, but hear me out. I think it's going to extend beyond furniture and really make its way into architecture because boxy, angular shapes are actually, like, if you study the history of it, is really just about efficiencies, right? Like it had nothing to do with the optimal human experience. It really had to do with what was most effective, or not even effective, most practical and efficient for engineering purposes, right? So the fact that we are sort of returning to, asymmetrical shapes and things that we see and are reflected in culture, I think is a great way to make us feel more connected to our surroundings. So I'm here for this. So a great example of this is the Edition Hotel in Madrid. It really does embrace curvilinear architecture, like in the best way, and it carries through in more rounded furniture and guest rooms. So check it out if you get a chance. Next up, and maybe one of my favorites, if I'm being honest, is the monochromatic but layered aesthetic. We often see it in like the neutral tone family. I do find this one of the trickier trends to pull off because, especially with neutrals, the key is to understanding the undertones of a neutral to make sure that you get the layering of neutrals right. But when it's done well, chef's kiss, right? But my favorite expression of the monochromatic layered trend is when color is introduced. You got to have a different kind of palette and appetite, but it's really a courageous move. And I think it actually helps simplify design, but still feels equally designed and curated, which to me is sort of like the best of both worlds. So an example of the sort of neutral monochromatic approach is in the Hotel Sages in Bali, one of the only Black-owned ones in the country, if not the only. They do balance curves and shapes throughout that really does promote relaxation, feels very much integrated into their surroundings, and I think that's a great thing, especially given that market. All right, next up, and I have got to say that I called this last year before the Architectural Digest article came out, but that's neither here nor there. So we are in the throes of a 70s, 80s comeback, and I am here for it, not just because I'm an 80s baby. Okay, this era really ushered in a period of warm and inviting high design that we're returning to, and I think it's a great thing. So one of the things we're seeing is some of those like key elements coming back, and the glass brick is one of them. I love the glass brick because nowadays it has so many different shapes, tones, forms, textures, and it really makes them a worthy consideration for feature walls, dividers, something that just really stands out in a space in this day and age. I am pretty certain the Public Hotel in New York features glass brick elements in some of their like common areas, and it really helps sort of like create a sense of privacy without cutting off light that I think a lot of investors and design enthusiasts should really consider for their own spaces. And last, but definitely not least, is the high designed workspace. Working from home is no longer an afterthought. It is an asset for a property, and the world of hospitality is finally catching on. So we are now moving past the desk that serves as a media table console that no one sits at, because why would I want a TV like right in front of my face when I'm working? But I digress. And more to a stylized, like dedicated space for work. Stylish workspaces are now a thing. So whether they are in the room or they're an amenity within the hotel, hospitality is finally meeting people's emotional work needs, not just their functional ones. So the proper hotel, I believe, integrates co-working lounges in all of their hotels, and it really invites just the natural proclivities of digital nomads and people that can work anywhere. All right. Well, that is my top hospitality trends for 2025. I would love to know which ones you're excited about. I've kind of given my hand and told you which ones I love, but drop a comment in the chat and let's talk about it. If you are in the design world, you really want to stay ahead of these trends because trust me, they are about to be everywhere. And if you are an investor, you want to pay special attention because you want to be able to compete at the highest level. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, design with intention. Peace.